9 days before the Webtoon 2025 contest closed, I decided that I still wanted to enter. Now, I know what you're thinking. Girl, you had months, which is true. But my life was very busy. I know I've said that a bajillion times, but I had school, work, extracurriculars. I went on a trip out of the country, and when I did attempt to start drawing my Webtoon, I realized I hated my artwork, so that was fun. And I decided to do a 30-day portrait challenge to try to like my art a little more, which you can watch in the video below and a recap down at the link below. But after that 30 challenge was done, I realized that I had no time but a ton of passion for the story that I had been working on for over a year, so I decided to attempt to enter. I spent over 40 hours in those 9 days drawing these 3 episodes, and honestly, there's a lot that I wish I knew before I started, so let me tell you what that is. Now, these may seem very basic. I don't care. I'm new to comics, and this was stuff that I really wish someone had like drilled into my brain before I decided to do this for 9 days. Here we go. Number 1, you need a character sheet, okay? Everyone always says to have one, and I was like, I don't really have time. I kind of know what my characters look like. I think I drew them a couple times, and then maybe like one time before hopping into that comic, and I was like, okay, this will definitely last me the whole Webtoon. I was under the impression that as long as I included like key elements of their design, everyone would be able to tell it's them, which might be true to a degree, but 1, it just doesn't look as good like when their facial structure changes every panel. And 2, it's a lot harder on the artist. Sometimes I would have to draw Olive from like not quite a 3/4 perspective, but like a little more turned, and I was like, what does her hair look like right now? Like, genuinely, what does Olive's hair look like? And I didn't know. For the last 2 episodes, I switched the style a little, and then I had character reference sheets kind of for that, primarily just faces at different angles, and honestly, super duper helpful. I think when I redo this comic, because it is under construction currently, I'm going to be doing much more fleshed out character sheets. That way it's a lot easier for me. But character sheets, they're going to save your life, so definitely do them. The second thing I learned, which may seem very obvious, especially with those 40 hours I spent, but drawing comics takes so much time. Take however long you think is going to take you to draw that comic and like at least double it. As someone who hasn't drawn a lot of comics in her life, I was blown away by the amount of time it took me to finish these episodes. And like, you know, it makes sense. This isn't like an illustration where you're drawing one drawing for like 4 hours. You have to draw like 40 drawings in an episode that people are going to stare at for 2 seconds, but they still have to be good enough to like communicate the story. So it takes forever. I was very dedicated. I mean, over 40 hours in 9 days. Honestly, it was more than that. The last 2 episodes took me 38 hours. I don't even know how long the first episode took me, but I would literally wake up early, work on my comic, go to work, come home, work on my comic, stay up late to work on my comic, go to bed, and repeat that. The day before the deadline of the comic, I kid you not, I got off work at 2 p.m., got home 2:30, sat in this art desk here, and I sat here till 2:30 a.m. working on this comic, and I was nowhere near where I thought I would be after working 12 hours straight on that comic. There's a lot of steps, so honestly, go comment on your favorite comic artist post because you have to brainstorm, rough draft, line art, color, and shade like 40 illustrations every episode. And to be fair, I was working on 2 episodes at that one point, so it was taking me a very long time, but something to keep in mind, you probably need a lot more time to finish your comic than you think. The third thing with needing more time is you're also going to need more panels, which is not fun to hear after I just said earlier that it's already going to take you like double the time to complete this comic. But I found that, at least from my experience, from like a more beginner perspective, your mind fills in the blanks on what's supposed to go in that episode a lot more than your readers can because you're more familiar with the story. So sometimes like to you it flows perfectly, and then you have someone read it and you kind of like realize that they feel like they're jumping around and you're like, oops, should have drawn a few more panels. So take it from me, you're either gonna have to do more creative panels, which can be really hard when you're first starting out, or you're just gonna have to draw more panels to more clearly show what's going on. Not a fun truth, but it will make your comic better and something I'm gonna work on in the future. The fourth thing, going along with panels, is you're going to need more space between your panels than you think. Now, I thought that I got better at spacing. When I was doing this comic, I was also learning Clip Studio Paint because I love to take on a challenge apparently. But Clip Studio Paint offers a lot of tools for artists to use, which was super helpful. Like the scrolling thing. This isn't sponsored, by the way. This is literally just my experience. They have like a scrolling thing that you can do, and that helped a ton because sometimes even brainstorming, I thought I spaced it correctly, and then I would scroll through after I'd drawn some of the panels and I was like, how are we already at the next one? It's going so fast. So what I learned is you always need more spacing than you think, okay? So just let those panels breathe a little. The fifth thing I learned is that comic drawing is a whole new skill set. Now, obviously I knew that comic artists are super talented and have like their own skills that they had to develop, but I guess I didn't realize how little of my experience drawing for years would transfer over. Like, I've been drawing for a while, and I'm not saying I'm like amazing at it, but I've had some practice, and so I thought it would be a bit easier. It is literally a whole new skill set. Like, not only are you doing illustrations, you are really focusing on storytelling. You have to draw the most random stuff. Like, you'll suddenly draw like a foot walking because you need to show movement. You have to somehow show people turning around. Like, it's a whole new skill set. I even watched like a ton of videos on Webtoons because I've been wanting to draw this comic for like a year. And so I've watched a lot of videos and I've learned a few things here or there, but it's nothing like when you practice it. I guess my advice is like, kind of be gentle to yourself a little because this is a whole new thing you have to learn. It's not like you're drawing one new picture, you're drawing a whole new style of art. And so be a little patient and just know that it's like a whole new skill set. You will learn so much more. The sixth thing I learned is that it is going to push your skills like to the limit. You are going to have to use like everything you know, and it will really show you what you don't know. So for me personally, I didn't realize how bad I was at anatomy. I was drawing full body poses. There was one even of Roland that I had to use a like 3D model that Clip Studio Paint had because I could not for the life of me figure out how it was supposed to look. But I was drawing a full body pose of him and I'm like, oh, so I'm horrible at anatomy, which I'm actually making a video on that right now. That'll come out either end of this week or next week, so keep an eye out for that. But it's gonna make you realize like where all your weaknesses are, okay? It's gonna push every skill set you have. You have to have facial expressions, perspective, composition, anatomy, like all of these things, coloring, rendering, stuff like that. It's gonna come into play. Backgrounds, I'm just cutting myself off while I'm talking here. It's crazy. You are gonna learn that you need to improve on so many things, which is like kind of exciting, right? You get to see where you are and you get to use all these skill sets and know you're gonna hone them. But I guess it plays into the last one, which is comic books are just a whole new art medium basically, and so you're gonna be pushing yourself a lot. So just be kind and know that you are gonna use basically every bits and piece of your art knowledge for this webtoon, which is exciting, a little stressful, but very exciting. And the seventh and last thing that I wish I knew is that you really need to love your story and you need to be kind about your art. I'm just kind of combining those. You need to love your story because you are going to be spending so much time with these characters, and it's honestly what's going to keep you going. Thankfully, I love my story. A quick little gist about my story in case you're curious. It's called Death Be Damned, and it's about a girl named Olive who has been desperately trying to figure out who murdered her sister, and in this process, she ends up striking a deal with death, and it goes from there. And I love that story. There's obviously so much more to it, but I've been working on it for a year, and so this excitement for what the story is going to be is what really kept me going. And I think it's really important that whatever story you work on, you really want to tell, because at the end of the day, like whether you get an audience or not, it's very satisfying, like seeing your characters brought to life. When I was in this chair hours on end for like 9 days straight, what kept me going is when I would like finish a panel or finish an episode and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's Roland and Olive, like they're real, I made them. And so just that like passion for your characters and the story is just gonna keep you going. And if you don't love your story, try to write one that you do love. There's a piece of advice that I heard and I don't really like it. People always say, at least in YouTube videos I've seen, that like, oh, don't work on your favorite story first, like put that one off to the side until you're better and work on this other one. Which like might be true, like maybe you don't have a skill set yet or like you'll get impatient, but personally I think like, why? You know what I mean? Work on the story that you're passionate about. Don't have this big story that you love and you're like, alas, I cannot work on it because I'm not there yet. I love the quote that says, you just have to make it exist first and you can make it good later. Something like that. Because it's so true. And this goes in with my other one about you have to be nice to your art. full transparency, I don't like how my 3 episodes turned out. I look at them and I'm like, oh, so that's really ugly. And I only posted them because, one, I spent probably over 50 hours on these things, and I had been posting YouTube shorts, so I knew that some people might be waiting for the webtoon to be posted. And another thing is like, I still did it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the art may not be what I want it to be, but it's something that I did, and I'm proud of my grit to like finish it and be able to kind of tell a story, even if sometimes the faces are off. Like there's Roland one that haunts me in my sleep. At the end of the day, you did it, and you can always improve on it later. So I submitted these 3 episodes. You can go read them now. I really debated deleting them, but it actually won't let me. So you can go read those 3 episodes now just to get a gist of the story, and just know that they are under construction. The style is going to be so much better later. Roland and Olive will be much cuter and more beautiful, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to be kind to yourself, because especially if you're a beginner comic artist like me, it's going to be a learning curve, and honestly, that's just how life is. I'm hoping that by me showing the kind of phases I don't like of my artwork, that it normalizes a little bit the learning process. We're just at a phase where everyone seems to be like amazing already at art on the internet, and it's sometimes discouraging, especially like when I find people younger than me. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Just kidding. That sounds so jealous. But you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like sometimes you're the only one still learning. So I'm here to show you that you're not. I've made a lot of mistakes, but the webtoon is technically finished. I didn't get to shade. I literally ran out of time, but you can go check it out. That's kind of the basis of the story, and I'm still really glad I entered in those 9 days. I feel like I grew a lot as an artist, and again, it just has to exist first. Now I'll be able to look at these 3 episodes as like a really detailed outline of how I'm going to redraw them for the reboot and reconstruction. So there's a little recap of what I learned for those 9 days of busting out those webtoon drawings. Thank you guys for following along. Some people even subscribed to the story and like commented like, comment if you're from YouTube or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, guys, thank you for coming here. So people are really nice. And at the end of the day, there's just a really supportive community of artists out there. So go submit your stories, you know, pursue whatever you want, because at the end of the day, it just has to be done. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can always work on it later and clean it up. So don't let the fear of like not being good enough stop you from pursuing this, because you never know what will happen if you just start trying things out. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys go work on a webtoon. If you're writing one right now, or you have a project you're excited about, comment it down below. We can all go check out your stories, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye.